You're tuned in to your love music, love life station, Smooth 98.1 on a feel good Friday morning. Yes, it is the 22nd day in the month of November 2024, 32 minutes past 7 a.m. Ayokunmi here, and it's the Smooth Breakfast. Yes, your smoothest start to your day, and of course, ushering you into a great Friday as you round up and think about the weekend. Yes, well, the weekend has been on my mind on Wednesday at least. So here we are, final working day of the week, and it's a good time to get into the papers. Yes, take a look at what's been going on, making the rounds in the last 24 hours or thereabouts. We'll take the stories, analysis will follow, and your contributions. They are most welcome. In fact, we look forward to your thoughts and your contributions as always. And you can do that by keeping it locked. WhatsApp is the platform to do that. You can send the messages in to us on 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. And of course, joining me to take a look at the stories and give their analysis as well on a Friday, as they always do, AB Bozimo and of course Joseph Obari. Very good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you in.
Good morning, Sir
Morning.
Joseph. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners. Happy Friday to everyone.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, everybody. It'd be good to see you. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yes. Good morning to
Thank
you.
you.
Just great to see you on a Friday. And of course, a number of things to get into this morning. A couple of stories have been making the rounds, developments here and there, and so on and so forth. I'm going to start with you this morning, AB, because we're jumping into the Punch newspaper, and the National Assembly has amended the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act, prescribing life imprisonment for drug offenders and traffickers. Now, this decision followed the adoption of the harmonized report by the Senate and the House of Representatives on the NDLEA Act amendment. That is on one hand. Now, in addition to the NDLEA amendment, the Senate also passed a bill to empower the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission. Now, I will take us back to Tuesday on Freshly Pressed as well. No, sorry, Wednesday, beg your pardon, where there was a story concerning the NDLEA boss that's retired, General Buba Marwa, where he was talking about the drug problem in Nigeria and how President Tinubu should declare a state of emergency in concerning that. And today, the National Assembly has amended that act and have prescribed life imprisonment for drug offenders and drug traffickers as well. This, of course, is in addition to the RMAFC reform bill. AB, walk us through this one.
Now, the idea of strengthening the consequences for being a drug offender in terms of a drug trafficker is not a bad one if you want to talk about the deterrent factor. But I noticed that it's important to notice the person who will get these enhanced punishments have to do so while armed with an unoffensive weapon or disguised in any manner. So, there is a condition. So maybe if you are not armed with a weapon, you will not get life in prison and all that. That's on one side. The other thing is that for those who are affected by medication, let's also have the idea of how to improve healthcare treatments for them, because sometimes these addictions can be treated as healthcare issues. But when we talk about the National Assembly doing its work in terms of harmonizing bills across, it would be great to also hear how they intend to make the RMAFC work. We know that the RMAFC is supposed to be the place where remuneration of public officers, among other things, is set. I feel that the National Assembly and most people in government are overcompensated for what they do. Basically, we are not getting value for money for what is, allocated towards them. I don't know whether with this new improved RMAFC Act, they'll be better able to control what I consider to be the waste in government, which is what is paid to many of these people. But for this drug thing, a lot of people's lives are indescribably endangered. And so if you have people who feel it is part of their day-to-day to be introducing drugs to people and causing that kind of damage, yes, let there be life imprisonment. But I'd also like to see them do more life imprisonment for some people who commit political crimes as well. But let's just see what this will result in the short and medium term.
All right, Joseph, do you want to get your thoughts in on that particular development there? I mean, it has to be a step in the right direction, bearing in mind where we are in terms of drug offenses, drug use, drug abuse, and so on and so forth in the country.
Yeah, our youth population is being ravaged by abuse of illicit drugs, and we have a huge percentage of Nigerians running into more than 10 million Nigerians who are under the influence of psychotropic drugs. So whatever we can do to discourage traffickers from making Nigeria a hub for illicit drugs should be done. In fact, most of the drugs, Nigeria is more of a transit country route to most other countries. They smuggle through Nigeria, other places, but the side effect is that a lot of it will drop as it's passing through. So if we don't, and the NDLA has been doing a marvelous job, really. They've been doing a marvelous job, and this only had to strengthen their capacity to be able to deal with this situation. What remains is, what's our law enforcement? What's the judiciary? Well, because if somebody is arrested, taken to court, and is able to buy his way through, or even at the point of arrest or whatever, if the cases are not prosecuted in court diligently, so that we can now get the benefit of it, then the law is just there for nothing, So it's not enough to have the law, but ensuring that the entire system sees the need for this kind of punishment for offenders is what is most important.
That's the most important thing. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, the law says X, but if you're not ready or if you're not willing to put it into practice to deter other people, because you can have all these laws, but at the end of the day, if other traffickers or other offenders see that people are doing it and there's nothing happening, let's carry on. I mean, it won't deter everyone because those who have coconut heads are many, but it would serve as a deterrent, or it should serve as a deterrent to a large number of those who would consider getting into that line of business, and I put business in quotes there. But anyways, Joseph, let me stick with you right now. Let's talk about Simon Ekpa. I mean, this is going out of the vanguard. He's a Finnish Nigerian separatist agitator and self-proclaimed prime minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. He's been arrested in Finland alongside 4 other individuals for alleged terror-related offenses. Local reports indicate that he was remanded in custody on charges of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent. So there are a total of 5 of them. According to the police, he was identified as a main suspect, detained on suspicion of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent, while the 4 others were apprehended for financing a terrorist crime. So, I mean, after quite a bit of time, Simon has been arrested. I mean, we've seen him on social media, putting out a lot of very, very controversial and disturbing rhetoric, as it were. And on the Nigerian end, now the DHQ have also, expressed optimism. I don't know where it's coming from, that he will be extradited and brought back to the country. I mean, Simon is Finnish Nigerian, so I don't know the legal implications of that. Maybe you can give us an idea, Joseph. But I mean, at the moment, he has been detained alongside 4 others.
Okay, so in February, Ekpa was taken in for questioning, for they considered that he was laundering money, and he was questioned and then released, but before then, last year, that was February last year, really, during the election period, when Nigeria raised concern, when Simon Ekpa was threatening elections in the entire Southeast. So he was called in and questioned just to placate the Nigerian government that was very bitter about his threat. But then he was soon released because he was being treated as a Finnish citizen, with some level of leniency, right? So, but the Nigerian government since then have mounted pressure on Finland and demanded that this man cannot sit comfortably in your country and set Nigeria ablaze. And I think the Finnish authorities have taken time to study what Sam Ekpa has been doing. And now they might have prima facie case against him that he was actually inciting terrorism. And this is why he's been taken in and then remanded in prison so that they will actually prefer a case against him and he will stand trial. And the officer that spoke on it said, look, we actually have seen this man commit this crime on social media and he's done other things. So what is good about countries like this is that they take their time to look through, to study, to investigate. So 1 year, over 1 year is a long time for them to have, maybe they've been able to link the funding that they questioned him about last time to the activities that are happening in Nigeria, because Tamaipa has been very brazen. Unless you have not watched his videos, if you've watched his videos, apart from the brainwashing that goes into it, lies, abstract lies, telling Biafrans how they have carved out Nigerians, how they've created provinces, right down to places like River State and all the neighboring states. They've carved out creation of this, or is the final stage of everything. This year, everything is going to happen. And these people are hooked on it. Even if you otherwise enlightened people who are outside Nigeria believe all those stories. And they incite very fickle-minded young people here to go and waste people's lives in the name of enforcing sit at home and so on. Today, the economy of the entire South is in jeopardy because of the activities of this group of people. So taking Ekpa in is just to, first of all, to assure Nigeria that as a country, they cannot watch when somebody is brought. But as to whether Ekpa will be able to be extradited to Nigeria is a question that I doubt very much, because that the answer will be positive. Because Nigeria, even though Nigeria has signed extradition treaties with countries, most of the time when Nigeria makes such requests for foreign nationals to be brought to Nigeria for trial, the requests are easily rejected because, one, our prison system is decrepit, our legal system is not dependable. They don't think that citizens of their country will have fair trial in Nigeria. So it's often a challenge to Nigeria to get one extradition request granted. So I don't see a European country releasing its citizen to Nigeria for trial. Nani Carlos' case was different because, I mean, he was brought through an African country. They were able to arrest him in an African country. If they had applied to Britain to release Nnamdi Kanu to them, I don't think that Britain would have released him as a British citizen to stand trial here. So that's the issue there. And then the lawyers, maybe the Nigerian government may send a lawyer's representative to also follow that case, either to be an interested party or whatever, to follow the case. But the Finnish authorities have to be able to have enough evidence to show that this man has been procuring terrorism crime in Nigeria for them to be able to put him away in prison there. So it's a case that Nigeria should watch with keen interest. Yeah, Nigeria may make the attempt to say, let us have him extradited to Nigeria, but whether that will be granted by Finland is a big doubt I have, because previous records have shown that, as it stands today, I don't know on record if any foreign national has ever been extradited to Nigeria for trial. It's never happened.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts there, Joseph. Let's take a quick pause here. When we come back in, we're going to talk about electricity matters, of course, in the news once again. AB, I know that you have keen interest where this is concerned. When we come back in, we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. This is Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. If you were fully Nigerian, maybe they would have, maybe they would swear be going. But the fact that he has Finnish, nationality,
this thing that you said about what's happening in the Southeast, a colleague of mine was going for the burial of his mother in Newi. He was supposed to be yesterday, Thursday. On Sunday, boys got him, shot him, and killed him.
What?
You can imagine. He was supposed to bury his mother on Thursday. He was killed near Newi on Sunday. So the mentality of that these people like Simon Ekpa have infused in that area, it is most unfortunate. The brutality, the wickedness, it's unbelievable.
My
We
wife,
lost
my
a
wife is
colleague.
from my wife is from Anambra State. We dare not go there. We don't. I don't
My
even.
wife too from Anambra. It
Uh,
is sad what has happened in that place. I went there to marry. Anambra people are some of the best people, but the atmosphere there now is dangerous. We lost a colleague. We are still in shock.
Sad. It's sad. All right. Going back in. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love life, a radio station. Ayokunmi here. And we're taking a look at the papers on Freshly Pressed. Yes, 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 it is that time where we take a look at the stories and, of course, analysis comes and your contributions as well. Talking about your contributions, you can send them in to us on WhatsApp on 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. You can also join us on YouTube and drop a comment there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And talking about some contributions here, let me just sneak one or two in. This is Tony from Ikeja who says, good morning to you too, Tony. The rest of Simon Ekpa in Finland is definitely going to create some buzz in many places. His extradition to Nigeria is a different ballgame. The last time a woman was arrested in Finland for threatening other Nigerians, Abike Dabiri danced to Tinubu Square to announce that the woman was on her way to Nigeria for trial. But the Finnish government told the Nigerian authorities that something was wrong with the Nigerian system. Hence, it was important for Nigeria to sort out her internal crisis. My opinion, Ekpa may never be sent back to Nigeria because we run a marginalized system. Interesting thoughts there. Joseph Menyes says, kudos to the Finnish government for the arrest of Samuel Ekpa. Defense headquarters demanding for his extradition. Good move, but NSC and all security agencies should go arrest all those bandits and terrorists, always celebrating their successes on social media. That's when I will know they are sincere in ending insecurity. May God bless Nigeria. True story.
Amen.
May God bless Nigeria. Dumibi says, I sense that Simon Ekpa is going to be an exchange for Nnamdi Kanu's release. Someone must pay for the Biafra sin. You think so? I don't know. I don't know. But let's see how it plays out. All right, let's get back into the stories. AB, of course, is with us as well as Joseph. It is a great morning on this show. All right, AB, let's talk about electricity, as I mentioned. We're taking this out of the nation. Now, in a decisive move to address Nigeria's recurring power grid failures, the National Economic Council, that's the NEC, has resolved to intensify the implementation of the National Electrification Strategy. Now, this is as Vice President Kashim Shettima, who's the chairman of the NEC, told members of the council that access to energy is a fundamental right and not a privilege because electricity is the oxygen of economic growth. Accordingly, the council has constituted a committee on national electrification to help address the challenges in the power sector. Now, this is one of the decisions that was made, like the formation of this committee is one of the decisions that was made in the meeting on Thursday. AB, I mean, this kind of gives me the vibe of, things are being improvised, making things up as we go along. I mean, forming another committee on electrification. Remember that the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, also considered a committee to look into the recurring grid failures after grid failure number 1 million in year 2024. I'm just embellishing there, but you understand what I mean. Now, another committee has been constituted once again. It just feels like there doesn't seem to be an understanding of what it is that needs to be done. It just seems like, okay, let's make it up as we go along and improvise, something like that.
I don't know whether it's just me, but the word decisive and the word intensify in the same paragraph are completely at odds. Decisive means you are doing a thing that can be seen. Merely planning to, hoping to, intending to intensify is as indecisive, impotent, and irrelevant as always. What is this committee going to do except have sitting allowance? For goodness sake, they are not going to engage stakeholders to be more connected with the electricity reforms. I'm sorry, if state governors and other parties don't want to engage with the Electricity Reform Act, then it's either that the Electricity Reform Act is not putting in incentives, or the governors and other stakeholders are completely out of their depth as to why their states don't have power, or frankly, they just don't care. Because I've talked before about how the President Tinubu came in and made some proposals to free states and other bodies to have more power over their energy.
Right.
Why have they not done it? We're now talking about 17, 18 months. Why do you need yet another committee to go and shake their hands and do all those junkets around the country to various governors' offices and greet them and sit down and have photo ops? Please, all that is absolutely useless when it comes to making energy stable and available in Nigeria. This committee, I aver, is an utter and total waste of time. It is not the solution to Nigeria's problems. We have aging infrastructure, we have insufficient investment, and we have, frankly, people who, because they have generators in their various state government offices, don't know or care what the people are doing. This is just motion without movement, and there is no part of it that is addressing the problems in the Nigerian electricity sector. I'm sorry, this is a waste of time, in my opinion.
Joseph, do you think do you also think it's a waste of time? Because I mean, as at this point where we are in November 2024, you would assume that looking at all the issues we've had with the national grid and so on and so forth, that they already know what the problem is. There's already a good idea of what needs to be done. Shouldn't it now be a case of, okay, we know what needs to be done, go and do, as opposed to we're going to form another committee to then do this and do that?
Your answer is in your question. Yeah, that's of course. It doesn't make any sense at all, as if he has said. It does not make any sense whatsoever to form a committee. This is something that's glaring to every one of us. Even the blind in Nigeria can know that churning out darkness is a routine for the government. So, I mean, so what are we forming a committee for? What are you doing with that? What is it, to talk to governors to persuade them to do what? What exactly is the community be doing? They just junketing around, collect some extra code for travels and all that. That's what it is. And it just makes you sick that you have people in government who can think like this about a major national issue. In fact, an embarrassing national issue from a committee. Maybe it's the tea in that thing that they'll be drinking. Otherwise, I don't know.
Committee is most attractive.
Yes, that's what the attraction is.
We wait and see. Let me just take a few messages so that I can get through all of them before the show is over this morning. Shaiton from Lekki says, did I just hear Simon Ekpa is a Finnish Nigerian? No, he's Finnish as in from Finland. He's Finnish Nigerian. He has dual nationality. But of course, I mean, off the back of his arrest now and what he's been alleged to have done, if he's found guilty, well,
Then
that
he'll be
Finnish
finished.
could come into play there. I don't know. Who's talking to us here?
Smart play of words there.
I'll tell you.
D from Ikeja says, I really do not know how much abuse Nigeria can continue to endure, from the foxes guarding the henhouse, theft of oil at the pipelines, non-state actors reigning supreme, and government officials behaving recklessly. It really hurts. It really does hurt when you look at, the potential that Nigeria actually has. It's all right. Let me take this one from Dio. Dio from Fagba says, The arrest of Simon Ekpa in Finland is a good development. However, if he were to be in Nigeria, he won't be arrested. A case study, 400 names of terrorism finances was sent to us by UAE, but what did the government do about it? We have bandits and Boko Haram ravaging the country, and the police and the government are silent and turning the other way. Whereas with the common man that protests, they will arrest and say it is that committing treasonable offenses. It's a shame the worst of us is ruling the best of us. All right. Thank you for your messages. All right, Joseph, let's talk some more, should I say, legal matters, as it were. Heading into the premium times, the House of Representatives has rejected a bill seeking a 6-year single term for Nigeria's presidency. Now, the constitution alteration bill sponsored by Ikenga Ugochinyere of PDP Imo and 33 others was rejected on Thursday during a debate on its general principle. So this one was shut down. And it's interesting to remember that the 2014 National Confab also recommended a similar power rotation. The governorship seats rotated among 3 senatorial districts in each of 36 states and so on and so forth. But hey, this has been shut down and they're saying no 6-year single term.
So, okay, so those who shut down this, because first of all, this bill was coming from the opposition angle, right?
Right.
Ogo and his group are seen as those against in the minority, and they have sponsored this bill, which they think. So it was the interpretation is that this you're trying to sabotage our administration. That's the government in power now. So people are looking at it from a partisan point of view. Even though it has merit, but I think that the major issue that these opposition legislators should be championing is the overhaul of our electoral system. If these people had come out to say what it is, the question is not how long any person is in power or whatever, what is being done with the time? Whether it is 4 years, whether it is 8 years, what are you doing with the time? And what quality of leadership are we recruiting? That's the issue. That's really the matter that should be addressed. The overhaul of our electoral process, such that we can have a dependable election result where the wishes of the people count. I mean, what happened in America should be an example to us that despite whatever it is, this is what the people want, and it's manifest and it's certain. Not that some people somewhere sit down and hijack the electoral process. That when you talk of electoral process, maybe it doesn't filter in clearly. But what it is, the electoral process is recruitment process for leadership. It's a leadership recruitment process. And if we can't overhaul that recruitment process, we will continue to have leaders, even if you give them 10 years, even if you give them one term of 8 years, they will still run us down. Because you're recruiting people who don't have the capacity and the intelligence to lead. That's why they can form committees over electricity matter. When you have such kind of people, what do you expect? So the recruitment process is what I think that the minority legislators should champion and push aggressively and woo their colleagues and talk to them in such a way they can understand the language. Because this country is sinking every day because we are electing the wrong people. That is, if we are even electing. I doubt that Nigerians actually elect anybody. Elections have just been conducted in Ondo, Edo, and so on. How many persons came out to vote? So they talk about voter apathy. Are we asking why is it that people are withdrawn? People are not interested. You have over 1 million people, and then maybe a few hundreds of persons elect a governor in a state, and you're comfortable with that process. The people have given a vote of no confidence in our electoral process as a whole. And if we can't overhaul that, and that should be what our legislature should be focused on, not all this, whether it's 10 year, 1 year, 5 or whatever, it doesn't solve any problem. We are out of 4 years, how many years have we done in this administration? And what has been the result? A country in deep mire. That's where we are. And people are going through terrible experiences.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Joseph. We're out of time, but I know, AB, you have at least a one-liner here. Let's have it.
I mean, Joseph has said it all. We have unimaginative, disinterested, and actually, in many cases, vapid leadership that comes up with committees for nothing. So if that is the kind of person that rises to the top, what do you expect for the rest of us? Somebody said, we have the worst ruling the best. No, we have the worst ruling the rest of us. And ruling is actually at the core of the flaw. We don't want rulers. We need leaders, people with a vision to take all of us, including themselves, somewhere. And that somewhere must not be Brazil every time.
Let's see what you did there. Don Kelvin on WhatsApp says, COMET, EATEE. Don Kelvin, I see what you did there. You're on a roll this morning. Papi says, a committee without commitment will commit crime. Need to frame that somewhere. Need to frame that. Papi.
People are putting bars this morning.
Papi is trying to upstage me. I will not allow it. Fabian from Ekwe says, I would like to add that the committee is a total waste of taxpayers' money. As always, it is much ado about nothing. Please, can you and your analysts help us prepare a communique to our stakeholders? We'll form a committee and get back to you on that, Fabian.
Thank you.
Michael says, I think the power sector should be properly investigated. What has the EFCC discovered? Who is auditing this sector? Until we start having KPIs for the government, we can push from now till thy kingdom come. Nothing will happen. Tinu says, thank you, Joseph. Spot on. The electoral process needs a complete overhaul. It's not about their tenure. What are they doing with it? And Tony from Marine Beach says, there's much interest on this issue of power in the country and lots of conspiracies around it. The bandits, terrorists, as far as I'm concerned, iron condemned people, some alternative power investors, opposition party members, and even demons have all capitalized on this weak one-switch system operated in the sector over years. Nigerians are surely in the hands of God to overcome these hosts against them in the power sector. And Ajayi Oluniwa says, the issue of drug abuse by our youth has become a national menace that requires serious attention, as every nook and cranny of the country is now a black spot with resultant mental health problems clearly evident. That's Ajayi Oluniwa from Magodo GRA in Isheri. Thank you so much for the messages, and thank you so much, AB and Joseph, for joining me on a Feel Good Friday morning. Always a great time having you.
Always.
Thank you so much. The pleasure and privilege are always mine. You guys have a wonderful weekend ahead.
And you too. And you too. All right. Thank you for keeping it tuned to Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere. At 8:15, we're going to take a walk into the locker room and talk sports. Tega will be in for that one. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks, great guys. Thanks.